Amber Kivett with Lifepro. I'm so excited to see you today. As you can see, I'm enjoying new products that are being launched right now for all of you to buy. These are now live on Amazon as well as on our Lifepro website for you to buy as you're watching if you'd like to. Some of you might have already received your product from Amazon if you've already ordered from Amazon. But what we are launching today is a new product in our entire product line, not new technology by any means. In fact, it dates all the way back to the 1960s, with European countries being kind of at the leading forefront of developing this type of technology using natural elements in our universe in order to be able to hack into the human body through electrical channels and wavelengths. We've talked about this a little bit with red light therapy and infrared light therapy, and today we are launching our newest product is a PEMF mat. PEMF is short, but it's Pulsed Electromagnetic Fields, okay? And this is a very complex topic to discuss, so I'm going to try and keep it as simple as possible so that you all understand the general aspects and concept behind using PMF technology and what it can do for all of you who are watching. But we're going to be giving one of you lucky listeners on Facebook and on YouTube one of these products as you are participating and engaging in conversation with us. One of you is going to be selected to receive this amazing product delivered to your doorstep on behalf of our compliments to you for giving us your generous time. There are two things that money cannot buy you, no matter how much money you have. It cannot buy back time, and it cannot guarantee your health. So we truly value your time and what you're giving to us and having the opportunity to being able to influence you as well as leading you and coaching you into greatness so that you can be the best version of yourself possible. So I'm seeing people are starting to listening in, starting to watch. So if you could give me an idea of where you're listening in from, I can see some Facebook posts. Like I said, we're Facebook and YouTube right now. Yes, so many of you are maybe familiar with PEMF technology. And if you're not, buckle up, pull up those bootstraps. It is going to be a fantastic series for you today to learn from. And we're going to continue at Lifepro to build upon the technology and teach you everything that you need to know so that you understand what you can be using in order to give yourself a better body to work with. And a lot of that can be done naturally without taking a pill or having a procedure done, all from the convenience of your home. So what I want you to remember as we are introducing these two new products is that this is a residential device. However, the technology is medically based. So is it a medical device? Technically not speaking, yes, it is a medical device in how it was invented for use in the medical population, but our products are not cleared by the FDA as a medical device and are made for residential use. So what I want you to remember, as you are comparing our products to other products that have been around for several years, those products are running anywhere from $30,000 to $60,000 on up because they are a medical grade product cleared by the FDA and they're safety tested for that purpose, whereas the Lifepro PEMF mats are created for residential use, but also using medical type technology. So it is clinically evidence-based to make a huge difference in how your body functions, but we're using it on a much lower threshold so that we are protecting you and trying to give you lower doses of what is really available at much higher cost. And most importantly, it is at a lower dose of frequency and at the levels that we offer it so that you can do it safely from the convenience of your home at a cost that you can actually afford. That's where we stand firm behind our product. And of course, with all of our products comes with a limited lifetime warranty. So if you do have any trouble with your products, you can reach out to us. We have this sheet that comes in every single one of our products. You can call us at 1-800-563-6604. They are open weekdays from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. and through the weekends from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, 800-563-6604. And you're going to email us if you have any trouble, support@lifeprofitness.com. And on here is your QR code. So when you take your phone out, if you have a smartphone, whether it's Android or iPhone, you're going to turn on your camera and you're going to point your camera to this code, and it's going to pull up a website, and you're going to tap on that on your camera, and it'll take you directly to this website so that you can register your product, so that your warranty is now activated, and we can take care of you should you have any troubles in needing your equipment maintained, updated, or you're having trouble with it. So, but again, this is the way to get a hold of us. And if you have trouble with getting a hold of somebody at Lifepro, Lifepro takes good care of its customers and takes good care of us employees that work along with them. So if you're having trouble with connecting with somebody, many of you in the last several years that I've been representing Lifepro have reached out to me. And if you have trouble in contacting somebody and you've made attempts to contact somebody at Lifepro headquarters and they've not responded back to you, please make sure and contact me directly, and I will get it up the chain to the appropriate party if you have already exhausted all our efforts. So my number is 317-446-7971, and that will get you to my phone direct, so that if you have trouble and you cannot reach customer service, then I can put a bug in their ear and make sure that they are reaching out to you. I will not be the person that takes care of the service on my end, because it gets complex when I'm working outside of the channel within the organization, but I'll make sure that somebody reaches out to you so that you can get taken care of. So I see a lot of familiar faces, amazing people looking in, listening in, super, super excited to see you all today. I hope you're having a great day. Today is a great day for me here in Midwest Indiana. It has been so hot. It has been in the 80s, 90s, high humidity, lots of storms. It was just last week that we were live and we lost power to 80-mile-an-hour winds. And it was just absolutely crazy around here for a little while. We went without power for several days. And so I'm super grateful to be live in action again with power with all of you. And I'm beyond grateful that you give me a chance to be a part of your life. So I want you to be thinking about what you're grateful for today, because so much of what we do in our life and what causes certain hormones to biochemically trigger the responses in our body come from how we think. And do you know that 60,000 to 70,000 thoughts a day is how much we actually process? It's crazy. 60,000 to 70,000 thoughts a day. And on average, for most people, we process 40,000 negative thoughts of self-doubt, thoughts of what am I missing out of my life? Thoughts of why can't I feel better? What is the doctor going to tell me when I go in to find out what I'm feeling pain-wise? It actually triggers this downward spiral as to how our body responds to that pain signal, to that inflammatory process that actually generates through our mind. So what I want to make sure is that we're celebrating gratitude, because gratitude, going along with the PEMF mats, is an easy secret as to how you can eliminate pain or reduce inflammation altogether. I was listening to a podcast yesterday on how PEMF actually reduces anxiety and depression and influences our ability to thrive from a cellular standpoint. But so much of that is triggered right here between our own two ears as to whether our body is releasing stress hormones or whether it is releasing anti-stress hormones. If we are in a constant state of fear, anxiety, depression, sadness, what's not going right, then our body actually releases more inflammatory hormones in the form of adrenaline, norepinephrine, and cortisol. And when those levels rise, it changes the ionic charge inside of the cells within what's called the mitochondria. And those are the little computers inside each one of our cells that dictates how our body actually functions. And as our cells become weakened and become exhausted and start to become more stressed, if you will, that is when chronic disease, cancer, certain issues with pain or health, disease, if you will, long-term conditions, that's when that starts to kind of take into place. is when there's a huge imbalance within the cells and within the mitochondria versus what our body has to have in order to heal itself. So what I want to make sure that I'm teaching you ahead of time is with PEMF, Pulsed Electromagnetic Field technology, we are not curing you, okay? We are not curing you, and we are not making you worse when you use the products. We are simply providing a product that has the power to change the ionization, which means the polarity or plus minus charge. Remember how magnets work? They either attract or they oppose, right? And so there is magnetic technology in these mats that change how our cells are able to function in the environment that it tries to live in, as we are continuing to put toxicity in our body and through our thinking process. It changes how our cells actually work. And so the PEMF mat has the power to reverse inflammation by changing the charge inside the cells within the nucleus and making the mitochondria happy, so that we can get better with consistency over time, and hence chronic disease goes into remission, pain goes away, we start to feel better, we start to function more. And remember, movement is medicine, motion is lotion. So if we're not moving because we are in pain and because we are inflamed, it is just this vicious cycle that continues into this downward spiral. So we have to make sure that we are staying moving as best as we can. For those of you who are limited in how you can move, the PEMF mats are great for a calming state. If you have trouble with moving, you can lay on the mats and allow the mats to somewhat transform your environment and giving your body the cellular advantage in being able to get up and get moving, even if it's just a little bit more. Remember, a little bit goes a long way. And I think as human beings, we are very impatient with the process of trying to reach to greatness, whether it's losing 25 pounds, whether it's getting our mind right and feeling more positive, whether it's being able to increase our range of motion, whether it's reducing swelling in a joint, whether it is changing how our skin looks, or eliminating wrinkles, or just in general how we feel from inside out. It is a process that takes time, and it has been a process that has taken time to get yourself into the funk that you're in. So again, the PEMF mats is a completely new type of technology with Lifepro, not new to the universe, but new technology to Lifepro. But it is not a quick fix pill solution. So remember, consistency is key. Start out low and see how your body responds, and add a little bit more each and every session. You can do a couple of sessions a day and see how your body feels. And I'm going to get into how a lot of this stuff works and how it feels. I was laying on it earlier, and I could actually feel the pulsing happening in my body. And I'm going to be straight up with you all today. I am exhausted today. I went to a funeral yesterday. There was an individual who has influenced my life, and my mental coach has taught me through the years, you'll never regret going to somebody's funeral, because it's a celebration of their life and how they live their dash. But it's still, when we grieve and when we're going through this transition process of just life happening, it can cause a lot of excess stress that can catch up with us. So today I woke up exhausted, and with the hot weather and having fibromyalgia, I really have to force myself to think a certain way and to give my body the possible advantages that are out there so that I can live my best life with what I've got to work with. And some days it's easier than others. But the most important thing is you cannot use this as a quick fix cure-all, because it will not work for that. The vibration platforms is oscillating vibrational energy. The PEMF mats are pulsed electromagnetic fields. So you're almost feeling a pulsing when you're laying on them. These also have infrared technology, has far infrared technology, so they can actually heat the tissue from the inside out, and so that your body has the ability to heal itself through heat technology as well as electromagnetic technology. Now, what I want to make sure that we're getting clear out front, when it comes to electromagnetic radiation, what we have in our phones, what we have with the infrared technology, that we've represented before with our saunas and with our sauna blankets, there's a certain amount of electromagnetic radiation that comes out in everything that is plugged into an outlet that is generating electricity. So whether it is your phone that is running off of a charged battery that you actually plug into electricity in order to charge it, I want you to think of the PEMF mats as a charging center, kind of like a battery cable for charging your body, okay? And so the way that I was taught this technology is, if you think about how a car battery has to be charged in order for the car to run, if you plug in a cell phone battery in order for the cellular device to run on its own, anything that runs wirelessly has to be charged or it runs dry. It's dead battery. As we as human beings end up in pushing ourselves beyond the threshold that our body can heal itself, sometimes we just need a battery upcharge. We just need to be able to plug in, and we just need to be able to charge and go. That is what the PEMF mats do for us. It's not happening through movement. It's not happening by vibrating loose adhesions in the fascia. It is not generating photo wavelength through red light technology. It is not vibration from a massage gun. It is not curling weights or jogging on a treadmill or moving. It is actually changing the charge inside the cells, inside our body, that give us the ability to run and to keep going. So we actually run off of battery power. We just don't realize it, but that is how the brain operates. If we think about our heart is electrically charged. So what is the first thing that happens if somebody goes into cardiac arrest? We go and we grab an automatic external defibrillator, an AED, and we attach paddles to the chest or pads to the chest. We push a shock button and it ignites energy, electricity, boom, into the heart, which jumpstarts the heart again. It's needing that electrical charge in order to reboot, okay? That is how our heart works. Our brain has billions upon billions of cells that does much the same within our brain. But here's the secret with that. Electrons and neurons are nerve cells. When they die, they're gone. But the axons are part of more synapses that go on in the brain, and those can regenerate. So axons are the electrical impulses that provide communication networks throughout the whole body, and how those work is all based off of electrical connectivity inside the body. When we are holding a cell phone up to our ear, the EMF rating, the electromagnetic radiation of our cell phone or using a hair dryer is insanely high. So when we're thinking about what the EMR rating is on our mats or on our sauna or on our vibration platforms, we're talking trace amounts as compared to what you're already doing at home, whether it's watching TV, sitting behind an iPad, sitting behind a screen, whether you're using a hair dryer, using the microwave. There is electromagnetic radiation in every single thing that we use. So if you find that you're having trouble with using these mats for the greater good, but you're using your phone, or your phone is laying next to you and you're watching TV at the same time, and you're listening to the vibration of music, and you're running a microwave, and somebody in your room is running a hair dryer, that is a lot of electricity in your space. And so how you activate your space and how you set up your room when you're using the PEMF mats makes a huge difference as to how your body receives that energy. But remember, you're actually in contact with the mat, so there's an exchange that's happening. It's like putting a magnet together, plugging the battery into the port. It has to go in just right or it doesn't work. So when you're laying on these mats, there's an exchange that is actually happening. Although you won't feel the mat moving, you won't necessarily feel things flowing necessarily, but it is making a huge change in your cellular health, which on a global level of the whole body actually makes a difference as to how your body functions from a reactive standpoint and a recovery standpoint. Reactive is your sympathetic nervous system, go, 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 how we deal with stress. And our recovery, relaxation, calming is when our body heals itself. We in our country are go, 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 go all the time, lots of stimulus, very fast paced. And so in order for our body to recharge, reboot, replug, and go through and fix things, especially when we're really inflamed, We have to provide the environment for that to happen. It doesn't just happen on its own. It should, but it doesn't, because we put so much toxicity into our life naturally, because we're just trying to get by and survive and be the people that we are, that we don't take a big step back and actually create the serene environment that our body needs in order to heal itself. And our body heals itself when it sleeps at night, if we're able to sleep through the night. So getting on your PEMF mat is a really good option for bedtime routine. Super great option for bedtime routine. But again, I just want to make sure that we're clear up front when it comes to how the body heals and how these mats have influence and control certain things that go on in our body. It is not a quick fix all, but I do know of many cases in which people have been on the mat for just a couple of times and their pain is completely gone, and their body, it continues to get better and better and better. If you are somebody who is dealing with circulatory problems, you're dealing with autoimmune disease, you're dealing with fibromyalgia, lupus, MS, Parkinson's, you've got lipedema, lymphedema, diabetes, heart disease. So many of those things create mass levels of inflammation, and doctors just want to give you pill after pill after pill to try and control it, when really the pills contribute to more and more inflammation in the system. I'm not telling you to stop taking your medication at all. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that we have to boost the battery power by providing it the environment to optimize and fix itself. So these will not fix you, but it provides the environment in order for the body to repair itself, which happens when we sleep. Okay, so now we got that out of the way. Let's go ahead and jump on to what's really happening here. So welcome to the launch. This is the new Lifepro InfraZen Far Infrared PEMF Mat. I know, blah, 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 right? So I'm just gonna bring you the box. And this is the box. So you can take a photo of it. You can see exactly what it says in case you can't hear or understand exactly what I'm trying to tell you. But the infrared, it is far infrared PEMF mat. So you're getting two technologies in one. And you're gonna see, I've got two different mats here. I've got one, it's just a baby. It's just the mini. It only weighs about 9 pounds. It's 8.8 pounds. Size-wise, it's 39 inches long by 19.5 inches wide. And it takes about 15 minutes to heat up if you're using the infrared setting on it, okay? When it comes to pulsed electromagnetic field cores, there are two core channels that are in this specific mat, okay? Now I'm gonna get into the difference and into what these mean, but you're gonna see when I come up in close that there are little crystals that are in here and elements that are in here that have a natural energy charge as they are, okay? Natural, all natural, no bad, right? So, but it is heavy because it is actual natural elements that are in here. And those carry, if you go back to the chemistry periodic table of elements, every element that is on planet Earth actually has a plus or minus charge, whether it's +2 or -2, or whether it's 1 or +3, it just goes on and on and on. I was a chemistry major for a couple of years at Purdue, so I understand the chemistry very well. But there are certain elements that give this a certain charge, and when we plug it into the wall with electricity, it becomes a magnet for success. So this is made that it can actually sit in a chair. So if you want to use this plugged in into your office space and is not a leather chair, because a leather chair is not heat resistant and doesn't transfer heat, I had it setting up here in this chair that is plastic. Okay, these get really hot, these mats do. So you're going to see I'm wearing pants today with socks. And if you choose to use the far infrared setting on here, you're going to want to make sure that you have socks and pants on, and that you use a towel to cover up the actual crystals, because it can get very hot and we don't want you to get burnt. So when you are in a seated position, you can actually lay back, and the mat works in a chair, or you can use it as a travel option, because again, they are heavy. Okay, so again, that mini mat, the PEMF mini mat, is almost, it's right at 8.8 pounds. So we're just going to call it 9 pounds for convenience. It runs off of 150 watts of power. It offers 2 PEMF cores. okay? And it takes about 15 minutes to heat up to full temperature, which is 176 degrees, okay? Now, when we're talking about temperature setting of far infrared technology, what it's doing is it's actually heating you from the core inside out. So far infrared technology in general, whether it's far or near, does not heat from the outside in, it heats from the inside out. When you wear long pants to protect yourself from the heat of these surfaces, you're actually also holding the heat into your body. But you just want to make sure that if you're using your space, you do not want to use this in a hot yoga room. Not a good idea, because you're already hot. And then you add 170 degrees on top of that, on top of long clothes, you're going to overheat. Not a good idea. So make sure that you're monitoring your electrolyte levels, because if you're not replacing electrolytes specifically into your body, you're just drinking water, you can actually cause a big problem in your body if you're losing electrolytes faster than you're replacing them by just drinking water and being in a hot environment where your body detoxes very fast. So do use caution when you're using the mat on high levels of heat, and then it's on a heat safe surface. So that's why you're seeing I'm not using it on a treatment table today. I'm actually using it on the floor. When we use these, because of all of the elements that are in there, we're going to take you to some place calm, because I'm all about providing the environment in which you can be calm. And I like the beach, so I brought in my beachy towel. But you just lay a towel over the top of it, and then you lay on top of it, and you're good to go. And you can lay on it in a variety of different positions. As you feel comfortable, you feel safe. Because it is electromagnetic fields, we want to make sure not to attract too much extra energy towards areas that we're wearing metal or magnetic accessories, such as snaps on your clothes, buttons, zippers, or belts. So you're going to find my pants are seamed with a drawstring cord. My sports bra just has little metal clips right at my thoracic spine. I just have earrings in, but my head is not going to be on the mat where the electromagnetic field lies. It'll be at the head of the mat. And I don't have major zippers on my legs and on my seams. So make sure that you are clearing your space in your body of metal or anything magnetic, snaps, buttons, zippers, or belts. And make sure you're not laying there with your keys in your pocket or laying there with your phone in your pouch, because you don't want your phone anywhere near this. You want to be able to really lay and absorb it, okay? When you are using the PEMF frequency, you're going to do 2 hertz in the head area, okay? So you're going to use PEMF frequencies over 2 hertz specifically in the head area. I'll get into some of this information here in just a little bit. If you are using ointments, like topicals or products that contain free ions of any kind of a metal, so make sure that you're looking at your ingredients of some of the stuff that you're rubbing on your skin. If you're using anything that has metal components or derivatives that are magnetizable, you want to make sure that you're avoiding those types of products when you're on the electromagnetic field mat, okay? When it comes to ointments, salves, any kind of balms, topical pain relievers that contain ingredients that produce heat, you want to make sure that before you're using the far infrared that you remove those types of ointments so that you don't cause yourself a burn, because if they create and produce heat from putting them on the surface and then you're laying on a surface that creates more heat, we don't want you to get burned. So the mat will not burn you necessarily if you are laying there as we are instructing you to with your long pants, and I'll have the long sleeves on when I'm really focused in. But you just got to make sure that you're kind of setting your space up for success in order to get the most out of this stuff. Now, who should not be using pulsed electromagnetic field type technology? First and foremost, if you are pregnant or if you've recently given birth, if you're postpartum within the first 2-3 months of delivery, or if you are pregnant, you do not want to use these mats on a far infrared or a PEMF mat level, because again, when you're creating a human being inside of you and there's a lot of cellular changes happening very, very fast, very, very naturally, we do not want to interfere with that by using other forces from the outside. So if you're pregnant, or if you have recently given birth and your body has not started the correction process yet in that first couple of months postpartum, Wait it out for a few months until you're through that whole process before you start trying to use this type of technology. If you have a defibrillator that's implanted, a pacemaker, a cochlear implant, you've got any kind of pumps or electromedical implants that can be impacted by electromagnetic waves, that is a no-no. So if you're not sure, and if you have had any of those types of implants that carry magnetic energies, you're going to want to talk to your physician first before you use one of these mats. If you have prosthetic devices such as total knees, total hips, you should be okay, but I would still go ahead and ask your physician if they provide you positive clearance, because they know the prosthesis and the makeup of that prosthesis, and not all prostheses are metal, okay? If you have had a fever or any kind of nausea or a headache lately, or if you're dehydrated, or better yet, if you're hungover because you decided to party hard, this is not going to create the environment if you're hungover. So if you're hungover, you've been partying hard, or you've just been engaging in an evening or an afternoon with family and friends, and you've had one too many that your body is not adjusting very well, you do not want to get on the mat to provide the optimal environment to heal that, because it will dehydrate you further through the heat. So make sure that you are replenishing again the body first with the proper electrolytes and hydration measures before you decide to utilize the mat to engage in the optimal environment for healing, especially if you are hungover. Not a good idea. When it comes to having an infection, an open wound, if you've got a sunburn or any kind of contusion or burns from abrasions, again, we're trying to induce heat into the body, and we're changing cellular energy. So if you have an open wound, changing cellular energy changes how the wound heals itself. So just be careful if you have had a recent infection, if you have an open wound, if you've got skin lesions, especially if you're diabetic, any kind of skin challenges that you've been dealing with, make sure that you have talked to your physician or allow those to completely heal up before you attempt to use the mat. Okay, now on with the rest of the good stuff. I know you're dying to hear the pricing. Okay, the pricing of this mini mat is $449.99. Okay, if you use the code Amber10, it will give you a little extra discount. And of course, Joel is always running extra special deals when it comes around to holiday time. So make sure, if you haven't already subscribed to the emails or to text messaging, he often will send out promo codes up to 15% off of your next purchase when he is running certain promos. But if there's no promos that are out there and you want to use Amber 10, it'll give you an extra 10% off your price. The mat that I'm on, the big one, it is $599.99. Now, some of you guys are thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, that is a tremendous amount of money. Again, the medical grade mats and devices, PEMF mats that I have experienced, I got an opportunity to use one a couple years ago when working in San Diego with professional athletes, and they were selling those mats, same size as what I'm on right now, for $35,000. $35,000 was the mat that I got to lay on, and having somebody operating the control panel from the outside so I could actually enjoy the experience. They had a chair version of PEMF mat at the medical grade intensity level, and it was an entry level $8,000. So when we're talking $599, let's just call it $600 to make it simple. In the grand scheme of things, it's actually quite cheap compared to what most PEMF mats cost. And why is it cheap? It's not because we are worse than others or because our mats are not as good as the others. It's because Joel has already established an opportunity to buy enough to sell to all of you, that we are able to design them and craft them at a lower cost on our end because of how much we buy. So when it comes to production costs, we have an advantage of having such an amazing audience and following of people, millions of people globally, that we can knock the price down so that you can actually afford it. Okay, so $600 for the big, $450 for the little, $449.99, $599.99 for the big. Now let's get into the specifics. when it comes to the remotes for both of these products are exactly the same. So they all come with a storage pouch, and they just fold in half and slide into this zipper pouch that you can stow away and get out of your space if you don't want to have it laying around. Both of them come with that storage space. You don't have to register your product to get it. It comes in the pouch in the bag when it arrives. I'm going to show you up close and personal the remote. And again, the remote is exactly the same for both. You're going to see on here, it's not plugged in yet, but I'll plug it in into the mat and then I'll bring you up and so you can see it. But I wanted to show you this here first. Here at the bottom, this is your power switch. Okay. So when we push that button, that is your power on switch. The plus and the minus is going to increase or decrease the frequency in what you're wanting to use the PEMF technology. And I'll talk to you about the indications and how you're going to utilize that for your use. I was using it at 15 hertz because I was wanting to work on systemic inflammation and pain relief from just being stiff from sitting all day yesterday at the funeral. But if you're wanting to use it just for warming up, you can use it at the 30 hertz. It goes all the way up to 30. So 1 to 30, and you can increment it 1 hertz at a time. So you have a lot of control over it. So that's what the plus and the minus buttons are for, is to change the intensity of the hertz. And then up here is your time. It has a max out time of 60 minutes and as low as, if I remember right, 5 minutes. So you can choose how much time you want. If you get on there and you decide that it's not what you thought it was going to be and you don't want to be on there that long, you can push the power button and it kicks everything off. Okay. It is not a pause button. So if you get yourself halfway through and you're feeling the energy and it feels great, but you've got something going on, you get distracted and you turn the power up button off, it kicks the whole thing off and you have to start it over. So is it going to change? It's not a pre-programmed setting like our whole body vibration platforms are. It just is running constant in pulsed ways so that your cells can become really excited when it's getting that pulsing attention, like, hello, come and see me, come and feel me. That's what that pulsed feature does versus continuous, okay? And then we have our temperature setting. That specifically is to turn on the far infrared feature. And the far infrared feature goes all the way up to 176 degrees, as low as 140, okay? So that is the remote. They work the same on both of them. And I've got it plugged in for the big one. When it comes to this big one, the big one right here that I'm sitting on is 74 inches long by 31 inches wide, okay? 74 inches long by 31 inches wide, and it weighs a lot, okay? As crazy as this is gonna sound, because of all of the elements that are in it, it weighs 32 pounds. So you might have to drag it across the floor if you're wanting to move it from one place to another. But when it does arrive on your front porch or wherever it is that you're delivering to, it is a heavy box, okay? I had to drag it in here earlier today because it actually feels heavier than 32 pounds when it arrives. When it comes to power, it operates off of 300 watts of power and 110 volts of voltage. When it comes to the far infrared wavelengths, we're talking 5 to 14 micrometers, so 5 to 14 on the wavelength spectrum, okay, of micrometers. And then when it comes to the temperature range, I was wrong. I said low level is 140, but that's going to be your entry level setting to soothing the body, relaxing the mind, and improving your sense of well-being. When it comes to the low level of temperature, it's 86 degrees. So low level entry level is 86 degrees, but it maxes out at 176 degrees. So if you're trying to eliminate fat mass, if you're trying to warm up those muscles, if you're trying to feel and trap in that deep heat on a level that's different, 168 to 176 is going to max out fat loss promotion and detoxing the whole body. So you're going to sweat profusely at that level. When we're looking at the different temperature settings, 140, we're going to look at them in like tens. So 140 to 150 is going to be calming, relaxation, relaxing, again, the mind, and like just giving you like, balance, right? When we get beyond 150 up to 158, that's what's relaxing muscles. So that's what we're doing in order to calm the body and relax the muscles. Beyond 158, when we get into the 160s, so 159 to 167 degrees if you're doing physical therapy at home and you're wanting to warm up the body instead of getting on the bike, and you're wanting to warm up the body, 159 to 167 degrees Fahrenheit is going to help with doing your physical therapy exercises, but it's also going to relieve pain associated with inflammation from chronic conditions. So like me, I have fibromyalgia, okay? And when I'm going through different autoimmune phases where my body rebounds and triggers, it goes into a response in which I can really feel the fibro points a little bit more, or I'm exhausted, or just drained, right? The battery is running empty. 160 degrees to 167 is going to be the temperature that we turn it up to for people with chronic inflammation, autoimmune disease, and high levels of pain. But again, if you're trying to blast fat and eliminate crap in the system, 168 to 176, which is your max temperature. So those are your temperature settings for both units. Both units heat up to the same, but it takes about 15 minutes to get that temperature up there. So if you are using the mat and you're wanting to hop on at a high level of temperature, turn it on for about 15 minutes and let it ramp up, and then get on if you want to. Now, if you are a heat sensitive person and you don't know how your body is going to respond to it, then make sure and lay on it as it's acclimating that heat temperature to the desirable level of heat, so that you don't shock yourself when you lay on it when it's actually met its temperature. Having fibromyalgia, I am very heat sensitive to my lower extremity because of my spinal injuries, but my upper extremity, I can handle a lot more intensity. So if I were to just lay on the mat at 176 degrees, it would actually make me think I was getting burnt on the stove, as opposed to easing into it. And then as my body adjusts and my mind adapts to it, then I'm able to handle 176 degrees because it's not a shocker. So make sure that you work accordingly to what works best for you. And each one of you is going to respond a little bit different. As you are learning more and more about the different things that you can use PEMF and far infrared blankets and mats for, I want to know what it is that you're needing done, whether it is anxiety, whether it's depression, whether it is chronic pain, whether you're wanting to improve your overall cellular health, whether you're wanting to improve range of motion, human performance, you're wanting to work on using it for rehab purposes, because again, one of you is going to receive one of these delivered to your doorstep. I don't get to choose that lucky winner. We have somebody else that chooses those, so I'm completely unbiased. But continue to let me know, flooding your thoughts with how you're needing to use this, so that I can make sure and comment on how it might be most beneficial to those of you that are wanting to utilize it. When it comes to the EMF emissions, we're talking 0.1 to 1, which is super, super low as compared to, again, what you might experience with using your phone or other electronic devices. There is no such thing. If somebody tells you that, oh, it's a zero EMF EMR radiation, that doesn't exist. If it is plugged into a wall, or if it is receiving energy through a battery that's internal, there is EMF emissions going off in that device. There's no such thing as zero EMF. You can have near zero, which is what we all desire of, and anything less than 1 is going to be considered near zero. So just make sure and remember that when you're comparing one product to another, and you're trying to be aware of metals and magnets in your space. EMF emissions for this is 0.1 to 1, and it is all based off of how those energies are bouncing around each other, okay, in your environment. When it comes to, again, the timing, we have 5 to 60 minutes, so you can go as low as 5, as high as 60. And as far as heating zones, on the big mat, it's all one zone. With this one, we've got 2, so there's 1 and 2, but on this big one, it's all one continuous zone, okay? Both of these are made of a type of poly leather. So it's going to feel, I like to call it pleather. It's like a vinyl leather surface, super soft, easy to clean. What you don't want to do is make sure that you're not spraying chemicals on the mat. It actually ruins the mats. So don't spray chemicals on the mat. When these devices heat up as hot as they do, it actually disinfects them. When I'm disinfecting my sauna, I'll actually turn it on as high as it'll go and just let it run for an hour, and it cooks everything in its space to an antibacterial level. So you don't have to worry so much about disinfection from using a spray. If you want to use a moist towel that has like a Dawn soap or a gentle cleanser and just wipe it off, you can do that. But I would highly recommend that you make sure and follow the directions of using a towel or a yoga towel or a blanket over the top of it, because it makes it a lot easier to control the nastiness that that we transfer onto it as we are sweating profusely. Again, the frequency between each of these, which is the important part when you're looking at, excuse me, found a sore spot in my knee. Again, got the fibro activated, so certain positions hurt. When it comes to frequency, frequency is measured in hertz, and hertz is the number that you're going to choose for the optimal treatment that you're looking for. And these units go from 1 to 30. 1 is the lowest level, 30 is the highest. So if you're working anything in your head area, you're going to want to make sure that you that you're not using that 2 hertz range. Okay, and you're going to find that in the owner's manual. Let's see here. There's a safety page in the back that is really important that you make sure that you are aware of. Let me go back here really quick and double check this. Yes, so safety instructions are going to be on page 20 through 25. And it talks to you about how to use cleansers. If you want to use an antibacterial wipe in order to cleanse your surface, you can do that, but you do not want to spray stuff on your product. And then when it comes to cautions, yes, you don't want to use, okay, so let me clarify this. You do not want to use a PEMF frequency over 2 hertz in the head area. So I'm going to make sure I'm clear with that. So if you're wanting your body to experience PEMF of 15, then you want to make sure that your head is not laying on the crystals, okay? We want to make sure that your head is in the protection space back here. Because this is made to go on a chair, okay, so it's made to sit in a chair. When you sit in a chair, just make sure that your head is sitting above this. If you're actually wanting to use this for your head, you can lay on the whole thing and just set it at 2 or at 1. It'll go to 1 or 2. So you don't want to go over 2 when you're using it anywhere near your head. So those are the big no-nos. And then when you're not using it, make sure that you unplug it and you tuck it away after it has cooled off. Make sure it cools off first. And then the other thing, when it comes to, this is a really important thing. Antibiotics, for some people, are heat and or photosensitive. If you are using photo wavelength technology, such as infrared technology, and if you are taking antibiotics that are sensitive to being in the sun, if you look on your pill bottle, it will tell you if you are taking an antibiotic, it'll say avoid sun exposure or high levels of sun exposure. If it says that on your antibacteria or your antibiotic bottle, then you do not want to use these mats while you are taking antibiotics because it can actually burn you. There's something in those medications that attract more burn to the dermal layers, but also internally. So make sure that if you are taking antibiotics, that you're taking an antibiotic that is not sun exposure sensitive, because sun is photo light on a different wavelength. So we want to make sure that we are recognizing that when we're laying on these infrared mats. So I think those are the big ones that I covered, but there's a lot of pages in here on just making sure that you are looking out for yourself. And more importantly, on page 18 on here, it does talk about how PEMF is an FDA regulated medical device. This is the same technology as the FDA regulated medical devices, but it is not considered a medical device because of the level of intensity and frequency, the hertz that it runs off of. So that's really important. I think what's really cool, I was listening to a podcast a couple of days ago about this, because I like when we bring on a new type of technology that I don't use in my practice every single day, I immerse myself into learning anything and everything and experiment and see what I can learn about it. And something that I listened to a few days ago is the medical grade PEMF units that have to be supervised by a professional because they're super expensive to buy to begin with. We're talking 30 to 50 grand on up. Those are operating at a very high frequency. And some people don't need a high frequency in order to experience great change. Sometimes less is better. I like to start with less is better on anything new to the body so that you can actually enjoy the journey. When we start providing really rapid change, especially electromagnetically, sometimes when we introduce too much too fast, we don't have the opportunity to feel the transition. And so I think for those of you who are just getting started with PMF, don't lose sleep over how much hertz or the frequency at which it's offered when you're comparing our mats to the other mats that are out there that are over $1,000, because you can still achieve great results with up to 30 hertz without overdoing it into your body. But there's directions in here on how to use the different settings. And if you're a first time user, a couple of times a week for 20 to 30 minutes a day. If you want to use it on a regular basis and you've acclimated into it, you can use it every single day, a couple of times a day for 45 to 60 minutes. Okay. You just want to make sure that you are allowing at least 6 hours in between sessions so that you don't do too much too fast. Now, when it comes to the hertz, I actually was looking at this a second ago when I was playing around with mine. On page 11 of your owner's manual, when you get it, it's going to give you very specific instructions on how to set the hertz so that you don't just turn it on and run with it. More is not better. Again, more is not better. So if you are wanting to reduce pain and inflammation and change the level at which the blood vessels work, you're going to use them at a 2 hertz level. So you're going to turn on the unit and you're going to use the plus minus button until you see 2. And I'm going to show you that here in just a second. When it comes to what our normal earthing magnetic therapy offers, when you're looking at magnetic energy as it is, what our normal earth level is 8 hertz, only 8 hertz. Okay. When it comes to stimulating the body and the mind for getting blood vessels to expand and open up, and really good for sports injuries or for those who are suffering from autoimmune, you're going to look at 15 hertz. That's the one I was playing with earlier that I could actually feel it working. And if you have compromised circulation and you're wanting to just increase the overall circulation, not only to the extremities and in the blood, but you're trying to increase that magnetic energy within the cell, which then generates the changes of oxygen levels in the system, which then changes the levels at which the blood becomes oxygenated as you're breathing the air. That happens at 30 hertz, in which blood vessels expand. When it comes to using frequencies over 15 hertz after 8 p.m., it is not recommended to use frequencies over 15 after 8 p.m. in the evening because higher frequencies actually can stimulate the brain too much and then you can't fall asleep. And when do we heal? We heal when we sleep. So let's make sure that we're not overstimulating the mind by utilizing over 15 hertz right before bedtime. Now, the other thing, as you have learned from us with our whole body vibration platforms, is when you're staying the same and you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, the body gets bored and gets stagnant and it doesn't respond anymore. Same thing if you're dieting. If you're dieting and you're on a special diet and you're trying to change your body composition, when you do the same thing every single day, your body stops adapting because it's used to it. So by playing with the frequencies and putting the frequencies on more of a roller coaster high-low, as you can tolerate it, you actually create more stimulus to the body of absorbing that energy and transforming the environment from within the cells. So don't be afraid to play with frequencies. There's not a right or wrong because it's very personal for each individual, but be okay with playing with frequencies high to low. If you're afraid of going all the way to 30, then don't do it. Go 15 to 18 or 15 to 20 and see how you handle that before you go all out at 30. But those are some really important things because remember, we're doing pulsed magnetic fields, and it's going to be different as to how your body responds in the morning versus when the body responds in the evening. Because in the morning, our cortisol levels are starting to generate higher levels. And when we are trying to go to bed at night is when those cortisol levels and those stress hormones should be lowering so that we can tap into that parasympathetic recovery state. You can't be in both the sympathetic and the parasympathetic at the same time. You're in one or the other. There's no dimmer crossover. And when it comes to promoting good sleep, 2 hertz or 8 hertz right before bedtime actually can promote really good sleep. So that's that. When it comes into using PMF for back pain or hip pain, if you've got back or hip pain or spinal pain, I mentioned earlier, when we get on the mat, especially when you're using the heat feature with the far infrared, you're going to want to put sleeves on so that you don't get too hot from laying on the mat with the crystals. But when you are trying to access the PMF directly to the areas of your body that hurt, the closer you can get skin contact to the mat, the better. So if you're wanting to use only PMF feature, not both PMF and far infrared, but you're just wanting to use the PMF feature, you can go directly skin contact and get your spine as close to that space as possible so that that magnetic ionization transfer can happen. And when we have clothing, it actually blocks that just a little bit. But again, if you're a more sensitive individual and you are wanting to wear clothes just to see how you respond, I was laying on it earlier at a level of 15 hertz and had my clothes on, and I could actually feel the pulsing, which actually felt really good. I have not tried it direct skin contact yet. And even when I used the medical grade mat a couple years back, I was fully clothed with long sleeves on. So strength is going to be very personal based on how you respond. Now, a very small percentage of people are sensitive to electromagnetic fields, and you might not figure out that you're one of those people until you figure it out, right? So I want to make sure that if you have a negative response because you happen to be one of those sensitive people, it's like getting stung by a bee the first time. You don't know that you are sensitive to bee stings until you know the first time. This will not cause you to go into anaphylaxis by any means. It's not going to cause you to go into a cardiac arrest because you're ultra sensitive, but you can have some nausea, you can be lightheaded, you can have some dizziness. So if you are one of those people who are super sensitive to electromagnetic fields, you're going to want to start at a level of 2, which is the max level for anywhere near the head. Okay, so I want to make sure that we're covering that ahead of time. And again, a lot of these different things, if you're just getting started, there's those parameters of how to use it are going to be on page 10 through 12 for PMF. When it comes for far infrared therapy, you're going to look at pages 13 and 14 of your user manuals. Okay, and so from here, let's go ahead and talk about how to get set up. As I think I've talked a lot about the technology, and I don't want to be too much of a nerd in your ears today. I'm listening in. Oh, very cool. I'm seeing so many of you commenting. Yes, you can turn the heat down and then just use PMF on the skin. You sure can do that. Can pets use this? I am not sure what the parameters are for using pets, but I do know that it is a very popular modality in the equestrian world when it comes to racehorses. They're using PMF blankets and far infrared blankets in order to change the environment of those animals in order to maximize recovery and cellular regeneration and reduce oxidative stress. So if you're wanting to try it with your animal, just make sure that they have no collar with their hang tags on, because that's metal, and metal is an attractant to magnets. So we want to make sure, if you want to try and do it with your animal, make sure and use it on a very, very low setting and see how they respond first. But it is used pretty often in the equestrian world for racehorses and for equine therapies. There are a lot of great indications for using this, whether it's back pain, anxiety, depression, autoimmune disease, sciatica, if you're recovering from a shoulder injury, neck tension. There's so many things. Anything where the cells are modulating and moving throughout the body, cellular energy is everywhere. And so it's not so much about trying to fix a problem, it's trying to change the cells. And when we change the cells, the command center changes the firing pattern of how we actually move and do and heal, and how those cells are actually creating the electrical synapses to the brain, and to and from the brain and the muscles and the joints. So yes, it does work for back pain. It does work for hip pain. It works for chronic fatigue. It works for chronic pain syndromes, such as what I deal with. And so yes, you can use it for all types of pain. Osteoarthritis, it is known. One thing that we're seeing a lot of response with in the clinical studies is for those who have osteoporosis, or those who've got brittle bones or fractures. It actually helps tremendously in the recovery, and prevention of bone density changes and for fracture healing. So if you have trouble in those areas, you can definitely do that, but we don't want to do it with an acute fracture. We want to make sure that we're getting stabilized first, because again, there's a lot of cellular changes that are happening there initially, similar to an open wound. We don't want to hack into that before the body has initiated that process, because it's a very elaborate process in which the body goes to heal itself, but it does make a huge difference in restoring cellular, it's restoring cellular function, increasing bone regeneration, and preventing bone loss. It also is good for reducing inflammation, swelling, and persistent pain. It allows you to boost the energy, calms the central nervous system, which is your heart and your brain. Oxidative stress is what's introduced to us as we are responding to things going on around us, and the things that we put in our system, our food, our creams, what we use around us, and just feeling overall relaxed. So really, really good for sleep. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do, because this unit is so heavy, I'm going to bring you up close and personal, actually. So you're going to get to see a close version of Amber. And actually, this towel is not a yoga towel. These are camping bath sheets. So my family and I would like to go camping, but when you go camping, you don't want to take cotton with you because it takes forever to dry. And so I bought these camping towels. It's a camping bath sheet, and it's like a microfiber. So it absorbs moisture very, very fast, and you can hang it to dry, and it's easy to wash. You don't use any kind of softeners or dryer sheets with it. And this is a beach towel. It's actually a beach towel that I bought on vacation in St. Thomas a few months back. And they're exactly the same size, so it can be used for either one. You can use a yoga towel if you want to use a yoga towel. But when it comes to setting the infrared technology, I'm going to bring you up close here so you can see this. Wait, I can show you while laying on it. Okay, so you can see all of the oohs and ahs of what these look like, okay? They're just they look like little stones and pebbles in the white and the black, and then right next to it, they look like miniature beads, okay? So these black lines they're like little granules, and then the white, they're little stones, and there's some black stones that are kind of blended in there with it. And I'm going to pull my hair back so I don't get stuck and trying to show you all of this good stuff. Now, when it comes to turning on your mat, it's plugged in, okay? This plug clicks in here, and I've got plugged into the wall behind me. Get that situated there. Okay, so greetings again. There we go. Now we got a face. So we're going to turn on the power button here, okay? Power button is on. That's what it looks like, okay? So we have our time feature, we have our temperature feature, and so when we go to the power on button, okay, when we go to the hertz here, we have different levels of hertz. And when you click on this, it blinks, okay? Again, I was using it at 15, so it's still set at 15, okay? You can use the plus button, and you can increase the frequency all the way to 30. And if you push and hold, whoops, gotta be blinking. There we go. When we push and hold, it goes up very fast until it maxes out. If we want to go all the way down to 1 or 2, if we're going to use it around our head, then it goes all the way down to 2 or 1. So there's the 2. All right. I'm going to go back up to 15 because that what worked for me really well. I enjoyed that feeling. And then we're going to push, it looks like a little wavelength, little heart sensor. We're going to click on that. And then you're going to see that it's, whoop, there we go. It's no longer blinking. That means it's on. Okay. That means it's on. Now, the time button is this top button. So when I click on that, it automatically clicks at 60 minutes. You can change that time by pushing it again and it blinks. And then we're going to go over here to the negative. And then you can actually change. Whoops. Hold up here. There we go. Now it's blinking. Now I can decrease the time, and it decreases in 5-minute increments. Okay. If you decide that you want to go for 12 minutes, just set your own timer and then push the power off button. Power off, boom, kicks the switch. So that's your safety, if you will. Okay. So we're going to click it back on. Okay. There we go. We're going to turn on just the PEMF, and it is soundless. So you can't hear it working, but you can feel it working. It's already set right where I left off. So if you're wanting to stay consistent at one level, you can keep it right where you left off. Okay. And then from here, time is set, and I've got it set for 10 minutes because that's where we stopped. But if I want to go higher than 10 minutes, then we're going to wait until it's blinking, and then it can increase in increments 5 at a time. Okay. Now, this is turned on the way it is, but there's no thermometer showing a temperature. So that means that the far infrared feature is not on at the same time. Okay. In order to get both working at the same time, I'm going to have to push the thermometer. Okay. And now the thermometer is on. With the thermometer, we're going to push the thermometer again, and it automatically clicks and blinks, and it's at 176, which is what I actually had it turned up to because I like hot. And if we want to turn it down, then we can just push the down button and we can turn it down. Okay. And it's going to show you. So, and if you push and hold, it drops down very fast. Okay. And so now it's at 159, and then you're going to see it click. It'll shift over. Now it's at 80. It's showing 80 degrees. It doesn't mean that I set it at 80. It means that's the current temperature that it's heating up to. Okay. So we can do 2 at the same time, or we can turn the hertz completely off. Give me 1 second here. Okay, so the hertz is now at 1. And so you can now run with the infrared technology and not focus so much on the electromagnetic fields. If you are sensitive to that, just leave it at 1, run with the temperature up high, and you're getting dominant far infrared light, and you're getting super trace with the PEMF fields. Now we're going to go back up, and I'm going to go back up to 15, and I'm going to show you how to set up your environment. So there's that. And I've got it turned up on the heat feature. And again, if I don't want the heat feature, then I'm going to drop it all the way down to 0. And it should kick the heat feature, the far infrared feature, completely off. Yes. There we go. I'm confident that they probably have a shortcut to this. I just haven't figured it out yet because I haven't had time to play with it. There we go. All right. So the heat is wonderful. Now, we're going to lay, if we're using the heat feature, we're laying the blanket over the top. Okay. If we're not using the heat feature and we're just using infrared, or I'm sorry, we're just using PEMF, there we go. Okay. Now, I like to just lay here as close to the unit as I can and just feel, and I have zippers here in the front, but I don't have any on the back. I just like to lay here in what we call corpse position. So you're laying on your back, palms are up. This is our anatomical neutral. If you want to go more into your feet and have your knees bent, okay, we can go feet. And because I had socks on with the infrared feature, now I'm just using the PEMF. So I can just allow my feet to absorb, and it's going to transfer through your clothes. It's just not as potent as if you're laying neutral on it. So that, in a nutshell, is how you use the PEMF mat. Okay, so there again, there is what it looks like from a distance. It has the nice Lifepro branding at the top where your head should fall. Okay, so there's where your head should fall. And the back side is super smooth, folds up nice like a pancake. or like a burrito, and you can put it together. It folds nicely in the bag. So I'm going to set you back up over here so you can see all of me. Okay, and from here, I'm going to unplug. I'm going to power off first. And because I didn't let this heat all the way up to 170 degrees, I'm okay if I want to fold it, but we want to make sure that we're allowing it to cool first if you allow it to get to temperature. So it just folds like a pancake, like that. I'm just going to say a pancake because that's what it makes me think of. So it just folds in half, and then it fits conveniently in the storage bag like this. Okay, folds in there perfectly, and all the contents go right inside with the user manual, and makes it very easy to stow away underneath of a bed, in a closet, in the back of your car, if you want to travel with it. But again, it weighs 32 pounds as it is, so it's very heavy. Okay, now I think that covers most of it when it comes to everything that I wanted to make sure that you knew of, because again, it is super cool technology, super cool technology. This is the baby. This is the mini mat. Okay, and again, it folds. So it's got two zones, one zone up here, one zone down here. It bends so you can sit it in a chair. Most important thing though is just make sure that it's on a heat resistant mat space so that you don't block that you don't burn something. Like leather does not conduct that heat very well. Can you use with no clothes? Absolutely you can. Just make sure if you're using with no clothes that you choose the appropriate heat setting with the far infrared so that you don't burn yourself. But if you use it with no clothes like you would with a sauna, yes, works very well for that feature. You're gonna find, we've got the user manuals for both. You're gonna find they're both very, very similar, if not identical. They're just talking about the changes in which the sizing. Oh, when it comes to the PMF cores, okay, we're using 4 copper coils. Okay, 4 copper cores is how it's put together. So if you have seen lots of information out about using copper type stockings or copper type clothing for recovery, it's got copper. That's how they're using copper in the form of PMF in order to drive the energy through the cores. And like I said, it's a super low frequency, low intensity energy waves so that we don't have to worry about too much, too fast, unsupervised. So does not cause harm at the level that you might see it in a professional setting without supervision. So it's safe for you to use at your home. When it comes to a memory foam mattress, I would avoid using it on a memory foam mattress because it doesn't transfer the heat, and you can actually have too much heat with memory foam, and the chemicals in a memory foam mattress is spontaneous combustion. Not good. So we don't want to do that. But if you're wanting to use it on something soft surface or hard surface, just it's going to give you very specific directions in here on ideal surface setup. And like I said, we just used it on the floor in here. If you need to lay a blanket down to give you a little bit of cushioning underneath of your mat so that it's on a softer surface versus concrete or a hard floor, that's totally fine. Carpet, you should be fine, but we just want to make sure that you're not laying it on a leather couch or in a leather chair so that you can transfer that energy. So I hope that answers your questions. Remember, the small mat is $449.99 right now. And it is also available at the large size. So the large mat is right at $600, $599.99. I'm looking, is it safe to keep it warm for a long time if you want to take it to the clinic? Absolutely. So Matthew, what I'm going to plan on doing with my clients is we're going to use it as a pre-treatment before they actually come into my room for me to actually work on them. If we can pre-treat and mobilize the fascia and the cells and the tissue because it's already experiencing that transfer of magnetic ionic energy, we're buying ourselves a little extra time and convenience. So it can be used in conjunction with the vibration platform, with massage guns. It can be used in conjunction with other types of therapeutic application with manual therapies. Do be careful though. If you are using electrical stimulation, if you're using like a TENS unit at the same time, I would not recommend you doing that, because a TENS unit is bouncing plus minus electrical charges off of two pads in contact with your skin and transferring that energy to the gate control theory of the brain. Whereas the PEMF mats are actually changing cellular ionic energy, and we don't want interference there. So if you're using electrical stimulation in your clinic, if you're using a TENS unit at home, or if you're using a Mark Pro device for performance, you don't want to use the PEMF at the same time as using that. Now, can you use far infrared? Absolutely, because far infrared is not magnetic. You're not using ions, you're using photo wavelengths. Okay, so it's two totally different technologies. You're getting a bonus by having both in one product at the same time. So that's the awesome part about Lifepro creating the InfraZen Far Infrared PEMF Mat. Blah, 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 blah. All in one sentence, right? That's the name of the product. Just call it the InfraZen. We're going to use infra PEMF far infrared light technology, and we're going to put you in a Zen state where life is just amazing, magical, as we talk about here with magic. Okay, give me a little drum roll, because we've been on here for a while, so I want to make sure that we give our lucky winner of the day an opportunity to be recognized. And so when I call out your name, just remember to text me at 317-446-7971. Your first name, your last name, your phone number, your email, and your shipping address, so that we can get you your product. That would be quite advisable if you want to take advantage of being the lucky winner. So again, 317-446-7971. Yes, that's my jingle, my rhyme time for my phone number. But yes, if you contact that number by text message, when you hear your name, then first, last name, phone number, email, mailing address, and we will ship you your brand new PEMF infrared mat. So those of you who don't win, it is live and ready for action now. If you want to use that Amber 10 code for an extra discount, or you can follow the link provided to order direct. It's also available on Amazon. Lifetime warranty. Make sure and contact us via 1-800 number or the email address, support@lifeprofitness.com, in order to get your warranty activated or any questions long-term you might have. And we're super excited to be a part of this. So we will continue giving you tips, tricks, and secrets as to how you can use your PEMF mat for the better version of you. I will be streaming live with Lifepro next Thursday, and it will be a topic, inflammation with Lifepro. It'll be, how can you take care of inflammation levels? How can you reduce inflammation in your body, whether it's sports induced, whether it's autoimmune induced, whether it's just overexertion, not sleeping, oxidative stress. How can you use different Lifepro products? What are the treatment settings? What's the warm up? How can you combine different products? I'm going to be talking and featuring that next Thursday. I believe it's next Thursday evening, so you'll see that advertised. And if you have questions ahead of time that you'd like to learn about, make sure and tag me, and I'll be happy to make sure that I'm prepping for that session for you, so that you can learn from the best in the industry. So Holly Gilbert Macris, you are the winner today of the PEMF mat. Holly Gilbert Macris, you are the winner of the InfraZen mat. So Holly, if you can make sure and reach out to me, that would be fantabulous. And for all of those that did not win, have a wonderful weekend. Make sure that you get on there and buy it now, because when we have products of this type, they sell out very fast. We've had this happen a couple of times in which they've sold out very fast, and it takes us a little bit to get caught up. So Holly Gilbert Macris, you are the winner. 317-446-7971 is your lucky phone number for today. And I will look forward to seeing you all next Thursday for how Lifepro can help you with your inflammation levels and changing your internal environment for a better you. So have a wonderful day. And again, I'm grateful for all of you being here today. Thank you so much for sharing your day with me. I love you all. Have a great day.